I Quit Sugar, we're going to have a chat to Sarah about meat. Now, we use quite a bit of good quality meats in the program, but what does that mean? Like, what are good quality meats?
It's a really good question because I think a lot of people are confused about organic versus pasture-fed versus pasture-finished versus grain-fed versus nose-to-tail eating.
Yeah.
It's all becoming quite popular terminology, but there is confusion out there. I personally choose pasture-finished meat. And what that means is that the animal hasn't eaten any grains at all. A lot of meat is fed grains and it causes a range of health issues for the animal and also for us. I don't think that animals should be eating in that way. The good news is that in Australia, most of the meat in our supermarkets is pasture-fed. Now, it might be grain-finished because of drought, because of changed eating conditions, just to make sure the animal's at the right size when it's slaughtered.
Is that something that they would advertise on the packaging?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
In supermarkets though, you don't know what you're getting, but as a general rule in Australia, about 70% of animals are in fact pasture fed. It's a bit of a gamble. Now, if you want to ensure you know what you're eating, I suggest buying your meat from a good butcher where you can ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of people think that this can get expensive, this way of eating meat. It doesn't have to. What it does entail is eating different cuts of meat, the unfashionable cuts of meat. So your chuck steak, your ossobuco, your lamb shanks, the stuff that in the past we used to throw out. Beef cheeks is one of my favourites. That's often discarded.
Yeah.
What you do is you slow cook these meats. It's a different way of cooking meat. Now, the good news about all of this is that this meat is cheaper, and by slow cooking it, you're actually eating meat in a far healthier way. As you know, on the 8-week program, we show people how to eat meat in this way, how to keep it economical, and actually it ends up far cheaper than buying your standard cuts of meat and cooking it in the standard way from the supermarket.
So to sum up, basically we're looking for pasture-fed meats,
Pasture-finished if you can.
pasture-finished meats, your unfashionable cuts,
Yep.
which end up being cheaper, and we want to slow cook them.
Yep, absolutely.
So for more tips and for some great recipes for slow cooking, head to iQuitSugar.com.